Buongiorno and welcome to Jaxx Vane Studio Live 38. Working on the sailing simulation prototype. And yes, we're coming from last Wednesday where finally we got to see two boats on the screen. There are a couple of, actually let me add this thing because it's very important. Keyboard focus. Yeah, we got to the point of finally be able to see two boats spawning on the screen using the multiplayer system, and that's obviously nice to see. But there were a couple of things that, of course, didn't really work that well, and of course there is a lot of work to do to make this usable. But you know, the important thing is that every day we get to progress forward. You know, that's the entire thing, really. When you're working on an independent game, you need to get that velocity going forward every day. So that's how it works. Jaxx Vane. I decided that I'm going to call you like that from now on. Good morning. So there are a couple of things that we're going to do today. One thing that we noticed in the last stream at the very end is that if I have a client disconnecting, the boat remains there. It's all right. We don't have at all any system on the client to figure out that boat has disconnected. So we're going to start with that today. Then we need to set up some way to avoid having to copy the executable back and forth, because that's quite annoying and slows down the development a lot. So I'm going to try to set up some kind of system with environment. Should be an environment variables, so I can launch the client, and the client will look at an environment variable to decide from which folder he needs to fetch the settings to start the game. Then we will try to set up a system where what I want to do is from Visual Studio Code, I want to be able just with one key to launch a server and two clients, and the two clients with different setup systems. So one client will have a manual control, and the other one will have an AI controlling the boat. In order to do that, I will have to update the init.kl, which is the file that we use to read the settings when the simulator starts. So this init.kl will have to include something that says, okay, use the artificial intelligence. And finally, I just added this keyboard focus. You might notice if you look at the highlights from last stream, I had this bug that wasn't really bug. It was just being not noticing the fact that if I started the client and then I was doing Control R on Visual Studio Code to start another client from Visual Studio Code, what was happening was that the client that was already up will go in replay mode and stop sending messages. And that took me a little bit too long to understand, but I finally understood it, and this is something that has been long overdue. This thing about keyboard focus, because it's sadly it's one of the things that remains more complicated when you work on a game, especially when you have situations where you want to have things like text boxes, and then it really hurts you at the very end or in the middle of the development, where you're already quite advanced in the game, and you go like, all right, okay, let's do a chat box for the multiplayer, and then you're confronted with this problem that if you type something and your system is launching the replay or doing something because it's reacting to your keys, then it could become really complex, because it's the typical global state, right? It's because you start from something like a text box that has a small variable telling if it's got the focus or if it doesn't have the focus, but then it becomes a global. It becomes a global concern of the entire game, or at least of the input system, to figure out, okay, is there something in the UI that is still in the focus of my things, or should I stop reacting to this? And of course, you really don't want the input system to even know that there is something, called a text box somewhere. So it starts to become this kind of typical problem in designing software, where you're like, all right, where is this variable? Where should this variable live, and who is responsible to update it, and blah, blah. And you always run into this kind of scenarios where, okay, so if the user does this, and that, then the focus is wrong, and they are not easy to deal with. So hopefully, if we can do this sort of early in the process, although we are not really that early anymore, hopefully it will not hurt as much as if we wait to do this. So let's get into this. Let's try to reproduce, first of all, our problem. So what I'm going to do is to get ready for the to see the problem. So we go in Jaxx sales. Actually, remind me that I am not doing backups of the game anymore, which I should, because it's really nice to have a different version of the games as the game progresses. Okay, so we're here. So we're ready to launch the second client. So we launch the server. Okay, the server is up. Then we launch this client, and this is our first client. We put it on the other monitor, and then we launch our second client, right? And what we see in this situation is that okay, that's our first boat over there. Let me get out from this. So let me try to understand, because see, now the problem is that now I'm pressing F5 and both software are going F5. Look at this. Right. So in theory, this guy has the focus. So if I press F1, I would imagine this to go into the boat and this to stay there, but it doesn't. See? So I'm controlling the same thing. Yeah. So that's what we need to stop from happening. So all right. So we see the other boat there, right? And if I close this client, right, we want to see this boat disappearing. So one interesting thing to check straight away is, I'm a little bit loud, if we're getting, because we should get at a certain point, okay, so receive new server game state. Bambine XX, oh my god, that's a danger. That's a dangerous nickname. So the good news is that we're receiving a new game state, and the other good news is that the new game state actually contains only one boat. Starting the second client. So here we are with the second client. Let me make sure that I can see the other boat. Okay, so the other boat is there. So I close, let me put it here so you can see. I close this, boom, and we crash. Amazing. All right, what's going on here? Saying that this error coming from a UDP. I really don't get it. I don't get how that can happen. Right, so let's okay, that's our second client, and let me kill the second client. Boom, whoa, and it disappeared. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Right, that was easy, but yeah, it's the result of planning for it. We were lucky. I mean, most of this code was already there. Was already planned, just needed the last push. All right, let me see if this is still a problem, and we can check it straight away. So now we have a server that has been running, and it's got two boats that were connected to it, and now they're gone. What happens if I connect again? Looks like it's fine. And this boat should get, let me see what ID this boat gets. Is this something that I can see? This is something that I assigned to boat 2. Okay, so it's keeps increasing the counter. So can I connect to the server so we can remove that bug from the list straight away? Must have been something wrong. Yeah, it all works. Here I will have to start studying how to read. So Rust, how to access environment variables. Working with environment variables. Hello, I want a little bit of advice. I made simple platform game in C and now I want to move it to make a 3D game. It's worth investing time into learning Rust. Are you more productive in it, or is it mostly personal preference? Also, is the memory safety side a little bit overhyped? Has it actually saved you, or you have found bugs fast in the debugger anyways in C++? Sadly, it's a very, very difficult question. It's a very difficult question because it's very difficult to try to analyze the cost of bugs that I didn't have, right? So I think it's a very complicated question, man. It really depends on how much experience also you have. I mean, how often, for example, in your experience with your platform games, how many times you had memory bugs, being that, double release, uninitialized memories, pointer to garbage, data race. You know the answer to that, right? You know how often it happened to you. And those are the things that in theory, and not only you know how often it happened to you, you also know how difficult it was to fix it, right? So if you go with Rust, those things, that cost will not go away. That cost is still there. It's simply distributed in a different way, where in C++ and in C, you might have a situation where a bug like that will hit you at a certain point, and you will have to stop and fix it. And it is going to be really difficult to fix it and find it. And that potentially can mean weeks of work to try to figure it out what it is, and then try to fix it. The way Rust is designed is that cost is not going away. It's simply it's simply part of your entire project. So it will be a little bit of friction as you move forward, But then hopefully you don't have that moment where you go like, oh my God, you know, so game is crashing and I have no idea why it's crashing. And Team SCS, thank you for the follow. So sadly, I don't have an answer. You know, the only thing that I discovered for me, I can give you what my feel is after 3 months working with Rust, is that I still enjoy to work with Rust more than C++, because it's a more modern and sane language compared to C++. That's for sure. Is it the best thing in the universe? No, it's not. It's not. And especially in my situation where I'm the only developer, I think it's overkill. It's overkill all the friction that I get from Rust. But again, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Who knows? You see, who knows? Maybe if I was working with C++, I would have bugs that will screw me up later in the development, and with Rust, maybe I won't. One thing that you will start really to see the Rust advantage is if you're doing multi-threading stuff. In a single thread application, I don't know, but as soon you move to multi-thread, it gives you a very nice feeling of, okay, I know this is fine. I know this is okay because, you know, Rust is protecting me and there is no way for me to do something bad in multi-thread. There is no way for me to create a data race. Right? That's definitely an advantage that you get if you do multi-threading in Rust. Right? Start with single player and with Luna Rossa. I don't remember if this works. Probably doesn't work, but all right. So if this works, in theory, this should start in a window. Yeah, baby, it works. All right, that's good. So that's good. So just start this as a second client by attaching it. That should work. So that should give me 2 clients and a server with 1. Boom, boom. Yeah, look at that. Interesting, though. This is interesting. Okay, what happened here? It's interesting because... Okay, what are we... So both... So it's like both clients are... Okay, both clients are focusing on the same boat, I think. That's what is happening. All right. Right. So when we do this, we do CFG 3. Right. Perfect. It would be even better if I could start it like this. But this also means that in order for this to work, I need both positions. So let's see. That's good. So what I want to do is to get the AI to control this guy. So how things work here is update inputs. Yeah. So update inputs. Value. So how I want the file to look like. So give me, yeah, so how I want this to look like. Mode single player. And something like this. See, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Okay, so this should work. So let's start the test to see if this works. So first of all, let's write something stupid here. Blah, 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 blah. And this should crash. Okay, this crash, and it's saying, while it's crashing, player boot control mode, blah, 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 is not valid. Perfecto. So now, if I put player, I should have control of the boat. Yep, perfect. And if I put AI, we should get the AI. Yep, it's working. And if I put nothing, we should get player. Yep, great. Great, 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 great. Okay, so this is player. And what we want to do is to go in CFG2 and put a that should have the AI boat. I should get Luna Rossa slowly trying to go at 90 degrees. It will take forever. I still can't drive, so all right. I can see that this is so it's driving the catamaran. So the AI is driving the catamaran. This thing is not really working, isn't it? I don't really understand what we're seeing. Right. Whoa. I really don't understand what we're seeing here. So let's see if this works. This should solve our problems. All right. That's already more promising. All right, okay. So that solves my problem for now. It's interesting that I can reproduce the bug of two boats with the same hash, which is interesting. Okay, this is all good. So I'm left with handle keyboard focus. Okay. So if it's capturing mouse and as focus, then we do the things that we do. right? And that should finally allow me to drive. Please let me drive. Ah, I can finally drive this. All right, so where I want to go, where is the other boat? There she is. Oh, we're very near, actually. Interesting. Want to... Okay, so this should stop from happening, but it's fine. I just want to pass in front of it to see if it's actually working. All right, come on. Should be way faster. All right, should be passing. All right, okay, that's good. Okay. Finally, I could see my boat passing here. Let me see if I can do even better than this. Okay, so now this guy is focused. If I turn the... Shit, why is not working? How are we moving the camera? Update inputs. How are we rotating the camera? I mean, I could do, you know, something super brutal, like if not as focus, self-direct input. Right? That should work. I don't like it. Because the other possibility is to pre-read all the axis values when I do update. Yeah. So, all right. So we're moving only one. How about camera changes? Yeah, perfect. So only change here. Right, and then I go here, F5, perfect. Then F1, yeah. Why the fuck are you capturing the mouse? Is it correct? Ah, okay, it's not correct. Okay, but I can do something else about this because this is something that the game knows. Right, let me try again. So, here I'm controlling the boat. Move here, F1. I'm not controlling the boat, F5. I can see my boat, F1. I'm not controlling the boat. That's cool. So I can get control of this guy. And I don't even know where the other boat is. Okay, so we're there. So let's go. Let's go catch it. quite difficult with this view because I don't see the foil. I can't see. Okay. So we should come on the left, on the right of the boat. And then I'm going to just turn in front of it. Bang. There you go. Okay. And you can see that the catamaran is moving like this. And the reason is because right now we don't have any sort of smoothing of the movements. We also don't have any kind of time correction, so it is just simply adding the raw matrix that is coming. So that's something that we'll have to do in the future to adjust it, but we are pretty much done for all the topics that we have today. It's actually today I was thinking that I'm really in an interesting shape where now I can, with this system as it's set up right now, I can work at the same time on artificial intelligence and multiplayer. So, and that's really cool because I can work on the artificial intelligence and at the same time test it in a multiplayer environment. So that's really exciting going forward in the project, because it means that both sides of the game can really advance in parallel. So that's really cool. Well, guys, thanks a lot for spending this stream and this weekend with me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can follow this stream live on Twitch if you want, 3 times a week, 10 a.m. in the morning. I know that 10 a.m. in the morning is not the best time for people, but as I said many times, this is the time where my brain is actually able to do work. So you can subscribe on the YouTube channel to get the highlights. I always try to get the highlights below 30 minutes, even less if I can. And of course, the streams are much longer. Today is a relatively small stream. We are at 2 hours, 12 minutes. So, but what I was saying is the best thing you can do really is to share this video on YouTube, on your social media, to let as many people as possible know that there is a sailing game coming. If you like sailing, if you're interested in sailing, if as many people know that this game is eventually coming, we will have hope to find people to play online once this is available. That's it for me for now. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all next Monday at 10 o'clock. Ciao, ciao.